Good morning. We're live now.
Good morning, everyone. It's September 17, 2025. Wow.
Wow. That's crazy. The year's flying by.
And here we are, Dr. Kiltz. Thank you for being here, Dr. Kiltz.
Oh, yeah, no, I literally just woke up.
Wow, that is so strange.
I literally just woke up. I'm like, oh, it's 5:45. I got like 15 minutes. I better get up and go do something. Get ready for this amazing connection. Jennifer, how are you doing this beautiful day?
I am good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fantastic. I'm fighting off some sort of microbe that is trying to kill me, along with a plant.
Take you down. All
But
right.
I'm eating plants, so.
So KMT hashtag KMT for what, Alia?
I Killed Mosquito's carnivore book.
Okay.
I want to talk about KMT. In October, we are releasing the additional tiers. There will always be the free tier, the Monday night Zoom call. You've got your community. Tuesday, Dr. Nelson will be doing an additional call with coaches or coaches in training to give more group coaching and help. And then Thursday nights, we're going to have another call with Dr. Nelson and specialists, which I'm lining up right now. So we have additional tiers to be able to go to those.
We're growing Kiltz University, which is really about health and wellness and spirituality and philosophy and history, anatomy, life in general. And what do you do to have to be accepted into the course?
You just sign up.
Sign up. There's no, everyone's accepted. And I think this is the key is if we're here to teach everyone everything, and especially health-related healthcare, and the knowledge that Dr. Nelson and I had to spend a lot of money to get accepted into the universities, the libraries, and the knowledge, today, all of it is all of ours. All of ours. Nobody owns this knowledge at all. And for me, all of what we're sharing is let's share it around the world. That's what we're here to do, so our brothers and sisters can help our brothers and sisters around the world. Right, Jennifer?
Exactly.
I love it. And by the way, Kiltz is keto, carnivore, Mediterranean, pescatarian, vegetarian, and vegan. We are open to everybody. I don't care what you're religious or non-religious, political or non-political. Long as you can check and confirm you have a pulse, you're welcome to the team.
And we're interested in improving our health and wellness, right?
So check Dr. Nelson's pulse lately.
Yeah. He's still alive.
So this morning we have Jennifer, and if you have any questions for Jennifer, put them in the chat, please. QQQ would help identify those. And I'm gonna let you talk now, Jennifer. Tell us about you, about your journey in life, and what brought you to carnivore, right?
You got it. Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Thank you, Dr. Kiltz. Thank you, everybody, for this morning. My name is Jennifer Edmiston. As it says on there, I'm the ketogenic diabetic. That is the name of my health coaching that I do. Very specific. I have type 1 diabetes. I was diagnosed in July of 94. So I'm in my 32nd year living with type 1 diabetes. It's been a journey, to say the least. Life is a journey in itself. And as somewhere along the way, our creator said, hey, let's give her diabetes too. Let's have some fun here. I was diagnosed, like I said, it was July 9th, 1994. My late endocrinologist that I met after diagnosis on a Sunday, sitting in the hospital, he gave me two choices with diabetes. He said, you can do nothing, let it control you and it will kill you, or you can control it and live your best life ever. I don't think it was a hard choice. I went with the second choice. which is why I'm where I am today. But along the way, I've struggled. All the recommendations, oh, you have to eat carbohydrates. You have to eat 3 to 5 times a day. The carbohydrates, you have to eat 15 to 50 grams with every meal. And, when I was first diagnosed, carbohydrate counting was brand new for diabetes. So I remember measuring everything out. Serving size of oyster crackers at that time was 24. So I counted out 24 oyster crackers so that way I could dose my insulin according to the carbohydrates that I was eating. And I was doing pretty good, but, as a lot of people with diabetes know, that over time, your weight increases and it keeps going up regardless of what you do. They're saying, watch your diet, exercise. And well, when you're at the gym 6 days a week and you're exercising 2-3 hours a day and your weight is still going up, something's wrong. So it was about 20 years ago, the church I was going to during Lent, they did the Daniel fast. So it's basically eating food as it's grown in nature, more of a paleo kind of diet. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together. So I did that for the 6 weeks of Lent, felt amazing. I was able to give up my chocolate addiction during that time, which was pretty incredible. So, I did that for the 6 weeks, felt amazing. But again, like I said, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. The following year, did it again, felt really good. I was like, there's something to this. So I started incorporating that more into my daily lifestyle. And it wasn't until probably about 6 years ago that we started really looking, when I say me, my better half and I, John and I, started looking at, he was looking at the ketogenic diet, and me being type 1 diet, having type 1, thinking keto, that's bad. That's ketoacidosis. I was putting those two together, and no, there's a big, big difference between the two. So I started, doing paleo, doing all of that. But then I started doing, bringing myself from paleo down to keto, dropping the carbohydrates and just starting to feel better and better. And then, John, doing more of the carnivore, watching Dr. Kiltz in the morning, getting up, listening to him, so many doctors in this field, getting the information from them and going. So we went from keto to ketovore to carnivore. And then just during that journey, just feeling absolutely amazing. I lost, as far as weight loss, I lost over 60 pounds by going from paleo to carnivore. Wow. My energy is through the roof. I find that, no more naps are needed. I get up in the morning. I can get up at 5-6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going till I lay down in bed at night, which is usually about 9-10 o'clock at night. Just the energy level is absolutely astounding. My current endocrinologist, or my CDE that I have, she is very pro ketogenic, be it ketogenic, ketovore, carnivore. She's very pro that diet. And it's just great having that support, and just the way that I feel is absolutely incredible. Not only do I feel better, I look younger than I did 10 years ago. People see me and they're like, wait, what? Is this your younger sister, or things like that? So they're absolutely amazed at how it's changed. Not only me physically, but emotionally, mentally, just everything is so much better. The clarity. I can tell if I've had something that has had, seed oils, or if there's hidden carbohydrates in anything that I eat. Because unfortunately, with what I do outside of the ketogenic diabetic, there's times when I have to go to events, and I know my body within 10 minutes says, oh, yeah, no, that's not good for you. Let's get it out. And my mental clarity goes away. The minute a seed oil gets into my body, my mental clarity is gone.
Poison.
Exactly. Poison. Exactly. And it's funny, if I'm not I'm a CFO, or some people say a CFNO. If I'm not in the office, sometimes, John will ask me, so what's 1 + 1? I'm like, I'm not in the office. I need my calculator. Come on. But now it's, there's some days that it's like, okay, some days are better than others. Let's just say. I did struggle initially going into full carnivore because along with insulin, I take a GLP-1 and I was also taking an SGLT2. And what was happening with the SGLT2 is it was causing my ketones to go through the roof. And, so it's like, I tried to just stop taking the SGLT2 and the adverse effects, my blood sugar started bouncing for no reason at all. So I had to slowly wean myself off. But now that I've weaned myself off, my blood sugars are more consistent. My ketones, not as high as I would have liked, but they're steady. I don't get the nausea from having them because they were too high. They were 6 or 7, where I like to be right around 2.
SGLT2s, that includes Jardiance, Farxiga, Invokana.
Mhm.
I think there's a couple of
Yes.
others.
Yep.
And just as a warning for anyone who's diabetic, and that includes any type 1 or type 2, if you're diabetic and you're on one of these medications
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to do a low carb diet, fair warning that you should talk to your doctor and probably get off from
Mhm.
those medications because
Yes.
they can cause ketoacidosis. Because if it's nature, there is a condition called euglycemic ketoacidosis, which means you can go into ketoacidosis, which normally requires high blood sugars, but you can have a normal blood sugar and have ketoacidosis. So
Mhm.
that type of medication, if you're doing any type of low carb diet, probably you shouldn't be using that. And you did the right thing to get off
Yep.
from that, being that you are
Mhm.
following a very low
Yes.
carb diet.
Yes. And I did have the joy of euglycemic DKA.
Oh, there we go.
And yeah, that happened in 2023. It was at the beginning really of going more hardcore carnivore. And the doctors didn't really think anything of it at the time until I went into euglycemic DKA. And that was an interesting journey. Just
And that was
And I should say it wasn't the diet, it was the medication.
it was the medication.
All right.
Yes.
which
Yep.
one? Which one?
What was that, Dr. Kelts?
Which drug?
I was on Invokana. I was on the max dose, taking that daily, 300 milligrams a day.
For what reason?
To further control my blood sugar. I'd been on Invokana at that point for about 13 years.
And your diet at the time was?
At that point, it was carnivore.
How long had you been carnivore?
When I went into euglycemic DKA, it was probably about 3 months of going full carnivore. Yep.
And you'd been on the drug for
13 years.
Interesting.
Yeah. So prior to the euglycemic DKA, and going keto carnivore, it helped tremendously because again, having a different tool, different medication, but the adverse side effects of it, once you go onto the low carb diet, it's no. But yeah, that euglycemic DKA was an interesting experience because one hospital didn't know much about it. The other, the doctors had just come back from training on it. So night and day difference between treatment on that.
And so by going carnivore,
Mhm.
how did that shift everything that suddenly the drugs were harmful or not required?
Yeah, it's incredible. The only drug I have to take every day is my levothyroxine because my thyroid doesn't work, and it's Graves' disease. So we killed it back in '97 with radioactive iodine. So yeah, I have to take levothyroxine every day. So now that's all that I have to take, other than my insulin through my insulin pump. So, but it's being able to not have to take these medications is incredible, and just how much better your body feels when you're feeding it the right food and not the manufactured stuff that people say you have to take.
And are you taking still the GLP-1?
Yes.
Which one?
Ozempic. Yep. and I have no side effects from the Ozempic. A lot of people that I've talked with and trying to help, they don't like the GI effects of the GLP-1s. And then what I find out too is that their doctors are trying to titrate them up to the maximum dose right away. The maximum dose of a GLP-1, that can take a year to get up to. Your body has to adapt to it. So start at the minimum and work your way up. And that's what I did. It took me about 9 months.
And what is your A1C? Your last
5.6.
Wonderful.
I'm trying to get it down to 4.8. That's my goal.
If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Proceed it with QQQ if possible.
Leticia King from Instagram, 5396. What are our opinions on GLP-1s, doctors, coaches, everyone? It's a tool. It's a tool.
Yeah.
What are you primarily using it for?
For myself, I'm using it for better blood sugar control. I noticed I did have a week and a half where I missed a dose. So it was basically almost 2 weeks between doses. And I noticed during the second week, my blood sugar starting to get a little bit more
erratic.
Yes. And for no reason at all. I had been fasting and all of a sudden my blood sugar spikes through the roof. I was like, all right, I cannot wait to get that dose back on, because the GLP-1 helps to prevent that. And in the beginning with the GLP-1, it did help with some of the weight loss. However, losing over 60 pounds wasn't a result of the GLP-1. If it was just the GLP-1, it probably would have only been like maybe 10 pounds. But combining, going keto, carnivore, that is where the additional weight came off, because of getting rid of all of the standard American diet items. Yes. All the sad items.
What are your thoughts on fasting?
I love it. I recommend it.
How do you fast? When do you fast? And what do you do with your insulin?
Being on an insulin pump, I'm on the algorithm will automatically dose additional if I need additional insulin, and it stops the insulin delivery. So I'm not worried about that. But as far as fasting goes, I break my fast usually about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll have sometimes a brisket burger. That's my absolute favorite. And then when I get home, have some nice steak. And that's usually about 7 o'clock at night. And that's typically what I eat in a day. And then start it all over again the next morning. And I feel so much better. And it's just, it helps with blood sugar control too.
What do you tell people who I'm sure there are people, maybe even doctors, who might tell you, well, you cannot fast because you're type 1 diabetic. Mm-hmm. That's impossible. You're going to kill yourself, basically. What do you tell them?
Well, if my doctor were to tell me that, first I'd start looking for another doctor. But what I've done is I've explained it to the doctor, saying this is what I want to do, and they obviously recommended me not doing it. And being the individual that I am, I still went out and did it anyways. And then when they start looking at my results, they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then I tell them, this is what I'm doing. And that all of a sudden opens their eyes and they start asking more questions. They're no longer discouraging me. They're now starting to encourage, and they're applauding me for not listening to them and doing what I knew was right for my body. And, getting into the fasting, it wasn't like I just woke up one day and said, that's it. I'm not going to eat breakfast. When before I was eating breakfast at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, I was like, okay, let's see. So if it was 7 o'clock, how far can I push it till I absolutely feel that I have to have something to eat? All right, I made it till 7:30 this day. Okay, let's try keep pushing it back a little bit further. This week I did this much. The following week I tried adding more time. And before I knew it, I was to 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. And there's times that I can do a 24-hour fast and not even think about it.
So one of the bigger problems that type 1 diabetics have is the wide variations, the variability of the blood sugar, and chasing those that eat and follow the standard guidelines, and they're eating a lot of carbohydrates. Then they have to dose accordingly, right? That's the recommended thing. Eat a bunch of this, chase it with insulin. And what happens usually an hour to 3 hours later is many will go into hypoglycemia, which I am sure it happened to you maybe frequently when you were initially diagnosed and you were getting used to a very unpleasant situation to have a hypoglycemic episode. But how many of those have you really have had since you, I mean, I don't know, when was the last one?
I did actually go hypoglycemic last night, but that was a result of me more activity than normal. Going for a walk at an odd time during the day. The joy of diabetes is, well, if you look up insanity in the dictionary, I think diabetes is right next to it, because you can do the same thing day after day after day. One day it's good. The next day you're running high. The next day you're running low. The next day you're a combination of all the above. So yeah, I had gone for a longer than normal walk at a little bit of a different time. So I did go low. I do keep glucose tablets on hand just in case that happens, because when my blood sugar gets to 60, I can still function fine. But when it gets to 40, that's when I have a problem.
So you withstand the lower numbers in the 60s and 50s better than before?
Oh, yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And less frequently?
A lot less frequently. Yeah. With my CGM, my time in range is 97%, with less than 1% being low. And that's time in tight range is 84%, which is between 70 and 140. And unfortunately, the ones that go above 140 are with my dawn phenomenon, which I love when that cortisol kicks into my bloodstream and raises my blood sugar, but it comes down really quick.
All right. Go ahead,
take some of these. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to thank Jennifer for being here. Certainly Dr. Nelson and Alia, but everyone that's showing up and just being here is really spectacular. I'm grateful. The more we can continue to share the message of keto, carnivore for health and wellness, we hopefully will prevent the type 1 diabetics and the type 2s and all the diseases in so many people, or at least hold them back until much, much later in life. And I think certainly we're seeing so many people healing. Tell us a little bit about your coaching and any stories that you're seeing, Jennifer, and people that have just somehow, they've lost their diseases. They can't find them.
I'd love to lose my type 1. Unfortunately, I know that my beta cells they're just sitting there taking a nice long extended vacation of over 30 years now. With type 2, it's definitely, I'm working with an individual now, trying to get their goal is they want to have surgery, and they can't because their A1C is so high. So starting to work with them and discovering, oh, well, you're eating this and you're eating that, working with them to get them a CGM so they can see how the food affects their blood sugars. That, for me, is one of the biggest things right there, is once an individual finds out how food affects their blood sugars, that is really what is very eye-opening for them. They think, oh, I'm Italian, I have to have pasta. It's like me. Well, I've got a big French background, so I should be eating the baguettes all the time. I mean, no, 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 no. So it's working with them and helping them to discover it's helping them discover how food affects them. And not just how it affects their blood sugar, but also how it affects their mental clarity. And once they find that connection between the food they eat, their mental clarity, and how they physically feel,
Yeah.
they
And
don't
that-
go back.
And that's one of the biggies.
They
the-
stay
the
that way.
mental
Right.
clarity. Mental clarity is
Yes.
really
Yes.
such a game changer for so many people.
Yes. Yes.
And we're likely fermenting, making
Mhm.
alcohol in our gut via the microbes and the mush.
Mhm.
And by going carnivore,
Yeah.
and eating less frequently, you'll significantly improve things. Although, again, even if you're not carnivore but you're ketovore and eating less frequently, I do once a day. I haven't eaten in 3 days. Actually, I ate Sunday evening. That was the last time, and I feel great. When I do my fasting, my glucose goes down 45 to 60, and
Yep.
it's just another number. I feel great. But again, I don't have type 1
Yep.
diabetes. That's the difference. My sister Marianne had type 1, and that was a big challenge. They didn't have CGMs at that time.
Yeah, that was the technology and how it's changed from the time I was diagnosed to now. The biggest change, the insulin pump, but the second one was the CGM. Having the sensor, that is a complete game changer. I have another individual that I worked with. She was initially diagnosed as a type 2, and I looked at her blood work. Her C-peptide was non-existent, so her body was not making insulin. And the doctors kept saying, "Oh, well, no, it is." I said, "No, it's not." So her A1C was over 15.
Woo!
Yeah, exactly. Started working with her. And the first thing that we did is, taking the diary of what she was eating. And I introduced her to intermittent fasting. With just the intermittent fasting, she was able to bring her A1C down to 10. And then it was working with her, talking with her, I'm like, you should get a CGM. So that way you can see how the foods are affecting your blood sugar, see what's going on. And then once she got the CGM and she brought that information to her doctor, then her doctors did further tests and diagnosed her as type 1. And then she went on insulin, and then it was working with her after she went on insulin because they're saying, "Oh no, you have to eat these carbohydrates. You have to do this. You have to do that." And, so she tried it for 2 weeks. She gained in those 2 weeks, she gained 18 pounds.
Wow.
One from the insulin, because the insulin causes you to puff up,
Make
Yep.
fat.
make fat, as well as eating the carbohydrates, which make you fat.
Well, which
make you
insulin
retain
makes
water.
fat out of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was like, "I can't do that." I said, "Okay, then let's do this." You don't have to, you can tell your doctor this is what you're going to do, and they're going to fight you on that. And she was right. The doctors fought, but she listened. She and I worked together, and she is now back down to the weight she was before. In fact, a little less, and she's doing great. She is doing great. Her A1C is now down to, last I was with her, her last A1C was 7.8. So from 15 to over 15 to 7.8, and she's continuing to go down. So
But
this
she's
is
a
over
type
16.
1.
She is a type 1.
Isn't it? But although a true type 1, first diagnosed, is commonly has lost too much weight and is too skinny. So the whole purpose of insulin is to make fat in the liver.
Yep.
So in fact, it's important to gain that fat, because too low of a BMI is worse
Yes.
than too high of a BMI.
It is. Yeah, when I was diagnosed, I'm 5'7". I have a large frame. I was 130 pounds. All you could see was my skeleton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't have any pictures of me from that time, which I think is kind of good because it was disgusting. And that, went on insulin, and I went back up to a weight that I had been maintaining for a long period of time. but then it just kept slowly going up. But
Which-
it's, you need the insulin because my body doesn't produce it, so I have to have it. However, my daily insulin requirements, some days 12 units, some days 13 total, where before I went keto carnivore, it was about 80 units a day.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. We have some questions, Alia.
Yeah, we have tons, several, not tons. We have several. Cookie Carter, thanks for sharing your story. Daughter 18 had type 1 diabetes at 15, told to eat what she wants, to count carbs, take meds. Now ketogenic, mostly with meat, with fat, sometimes high glucose.
Mhm.
How to get to a carnivore diet?
That's a good question. My experience, I took and I slowly started cutting out the carbohydrates. So I went keto, then I went ketovore, and then I went carnivore. That was the easiest transition, especially with my body trying to adapt to that, especially going over to carnivore without a gallbladder. That was a fun experience. But it's my experience is going from the standard American diet to ketogenic. If you do that, or if you go standard American diet to carnivore, a lot of times you're going to fail because of the way that the body reacts to removing what it has become accustomed to. You have to take it slowly. You have to step it down. But if she's already doing mostly meat with fat, she's almost there. She's almost there. My question would be is what is she eating that has the carbohydrates in it? Is she still eating, what type of carb is she eating? And then work with eliminating, sometimes high glucose. Unfortunately, sometimes my glucose goes up for no reason at all. And a lot of it is external. It's stress. It's, the dawn phenomenon. But it's trying to identify also what's causing the high glucose. Was it food or was it something external? So there's a couple things to work on that too, working there. But definitely, she's almost there. She's doing meat and high fat. Where are the carbohydrates coming from?
Lean meat, by the way, acts, again, think of amino acids and simple sugars work the same. They must go to the liver and insulin must convert them to fat, which essentially converting them to build VLDL, which is the delivery truck of all the minerals, vitamins, nutrients for every cell of the body. And so lean meat is the culprit. People don't realize. Again, we eat too much too frequently. That's our biggest problem, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Chuck has a question. Any other drugs besides Ozempic that can be used? GLP, black box warning, thyroid tumors, and cancer.
I can say, in my opinion, if you look at the warnings for insulin, I shouldn't be taking it. If you look at the warnings for any drug, there's always going to be, indications, contraindications. There's always going to be those warnings. And, if you have a family history of thyroid tumors and cancer, then a GLP-1 is one that's a personal decision. In the studies, you want to look at the studies. What is the percentage of, the thyroid tumors and cancer? Okay, brain work. No, because a lot of it is when they do the studies, when they get the approval through the FDA, there's specific ways that they have to go through. You want to look at, if there were 1,000 people and it was one person that had this, they have to list it as a warning. But with that one individual, was that a pre-existing condition? And if it was a pre-existing condition, then more studies have to be done to find out, did the GLP-1 actually bring it out, or was it sitting dormant? What was going on? So yes, I look at them, but there's, it's best working with this, being a coach. you want to work with your healthcare provider in determining what's best for you.
That's
And
right.
it's not a blanket all types of thyroid cancers, by
No.
the way. It's
No.
a specific series. There's a couple, multiple endocrine neoplasia, for example,
Mhm.
some familial hereditary situations. So it's not a blanket statement. But if you've had a thyroid cancer, well, then I would probably not use anything like that.
Mhm.
It has to be your own decision with your physician.
Yep.
All medications have possible side effects. You have to weigh the benefits
Mhm.
and the
Marriage.
risk. The
Marriage.
the primary medication for type 1 diabetes, however, is the insulin, right?
Mhm.
Go ahead,
Mhm.
Dr. Kelsey. We're going to say something.
Oh, well, cars, weapons, and wives. But ultimately, we can't live without them.
Did you go 3, 2, and 1 there?
And humor and joy and laughter are all part of life. And I can tell you, my sister Marianne had type 1, and she passed at 52 of heart failure. She was always joyous and laughing and kind and loving. And these are important things that we have to infuse in our lives in order to enjoy the life. The
Mhm.
question is why some people die earlier than others. We often don't know. My grandmother lived 104, smoked Pall Malls, drank Manhattans, a beautiful Italian woman, and why she lived so long, I don't know. But we want to find joy in life. That's why hanging out with Dr. Nelson and Alia is so good in the morning.
And Dr. Kiltz.
We
Yes.
bring some joy and laughter into our lives.
Exactly. J-Bud has a question. How long have you been on the GLP-1, and do you have a goal to get off of it?
I've been on the GLP-1 for almost 3 years, and right now I do not have a goal to get off of it. That is something that I'm looking at, but I also want to determine what the long-term, number one, what are the long-term effects of being on the GLP-1? There's been a lot of contradicting evidence out there as far as what the effects are, the long-term effects are of the GLP-1, and then also what the effects are when you go off the GLP-1. So that's one that eventually I would like to be off of it, and only have, the insulin in the fridge and not all, the GLP-1. But that's one that's definitely down the road for me.
Next
question. A lot of people have questions on GLP-1. What about retinopathy and GLP?
Like 32 years, no retinopathy, no side effects from diabetes. My eye doctor, pretty much in the eyes, that's where the first spot that you're going to find any long-term damage from diabetes. He said there's nothing there. Retinopathy, absolutely nothing. And I haven't seen anything about retinopathy in a GLP-1. And with the GLP-1s, the evidence that's out there right now is better control of your blood sugars, which is going to help to reduce chances of retinopathy and the long-term effects of diabetes.
It's a little bit of a catch-22 because retinopathy is one of the listed possible side effects with the GLP-1s, but then uncontrolled blood sugars also have a risk for the retinopathy, right? So
yes. Yeah. And there's strong evidence that the uncontrolled blood sugars cause retinopathy. The DCCT trial, which came out in 1993.
Definitely.
Yeah, it showed the direct correlation between what happens with uncontrolled blood sugars and all the long-term effects that it has on your body.
And truly, is our biggest problem we eat too much too frequently?
We eat way too much.
Way too frequently, because in general, 50,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, I mean, you had 3 meals a day plus snacks in between?
No. Or with the meal, did you wait and go, oh, wait a minute, I need my starch, I need my vegetable. Hold on, we need all. No.
And I certainly need dessert.
Totally.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, you're in. That's funny. FD, could you please tell us what you eat per day?
Well, what I eat per day, usually when I break my fast, is I have a brisket burger. I have a great butcher that's in the next town over from me, and they have the most amazing brisket burgers. We smoke them up on our smoker, and I'll cook them up so then that way I've got them ready for the week for me for lunches. And then when I come home, I'll usually have either a porterhouse, Delmonico, or a ribeye, and that's it.
There you
That's it.
go.
And then if I do get the munchies really bad, I will have a chomp.
What's
I'll
a
do
chomp?
It's a meat
A
stick.
beef stick. Yeah.
It's a beef
Oh,
stick. Yes.
okay.
Yep. And those are great for, when you're traveling and you need something to get you through. They're really good.
I found
That's
in
great.
all places in Aldi's a zero sugar beef stick.
Hmm.
Pretty good ingredients. The chumps are pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a couple of others out there that
Mhm.
that are good, and that's a quick and easy snack or
Yes.
traveling
Hmm.
type of food.
You also have the carnivore bar too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Chuck asks, what is the best place in the body to place the CGM? Are they all the same size? Is it worth to purchase the Keto Mojo? What is the most accurate brand? Thank you kindly.
All right. So this is going to be all in my humble opinion and my personal experience. I find with the CGM, I have it right here. Put it on the back of my arm. But also the CGM has to be able to communicate with my insulin pump. So Chuck, if you also are using an insulin pump, you want to make sure that your pump and your CGM are in line of sight of one another, because the CGMs will not send the data basically through water, and what is our body predominantly made of? Water. So you want to make sure that your CGM and your pump stay within line of sight of one another. No, they're not all the same size. Although this is the Dexcom G7, and most of them are now about that size. There's several different kinds out there. You have Dexcom, you have Abbott, you've got the Eversense 365. So a lot of it is personal preference as far as what you want. With the CGMs, your doctor should have samples in their office, so then that way you can actually touch and feel and see what they're like. As far as the most accurate brand, Dexcom right now is taking the lead. Eversense is coming up closely behind them. The advantage with Eversense is it's a 365. It's a little sensor. It's put in under the skin. It's maybe a millimeter or 1.5 millimeters long, surgically put under the skin. It's a 15-minute office procedure. And then you wear a transmitter that goes on and off on top of it. So if you're going swimming, you can take that off. Where with the other CGMs that are on the market right now, the adhesive on your skin, they're always there. Once they come off, they're off. So that it's personal preference as far as what you want to do with the CGM.
Great. Last question that we have that I see. George, good enough. Carnivores are fun people. Did carnivore make us that way? Or are we naturally fun? And that's why we adopted carnivore.
Well, I think we're all fun people. That's what
All of us.
Yes, and carnivore just helped bring it out and bring us together, so that way we can have even more fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's all the questions. Oh, here's a question. What age is this usually detected? What are we talking about? Type 1 diabetes?
If you're talking type 1 diabetes, it's at any age.
Right.
Type 1 diabetes used to be called juvenile diabetes. There used to be juvenile and adult, and that's completely incorrect. Type 1 diabetes, you can be diagnosed at birth or at 99. So it
Okay.
happens at any point. Type 2 diabetes, same thing. You can be diagnosed as a teenager. You don't have to be 65, 70. You can be a teenager. You can be 7, 8 years old diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And again, type 2 diabetes is, let's look at the diet. Let's look at diet.
Right. Okie dokie. I think we're out of questions. Dr. Kilt, say something to inspire us to take us through the end of the day.
Hold on. If anyone wants to be on our lives or get an interview with us or invite us, send a message to Alia at drkiltz.com and she can help with that. Someone was asking on Instagram, and I'm just trying to type out a message, but my typing is a little challenged. But let's see. Why have you come? Why are you doing the coaching, Jennifer? What has it brought to your life, and how have you been inspired by what you're seeing in others' lives?
Oh, the coaching. Number one, how I feel. Number two is I want to be able to help others. I have some friends who have type 1 diabetes, and watching them struggle and knowing that they don't have to struggle as hard as they are. You know, yes, type 1 diabetes can be a struggle. There's days that I would love to have it, inhale deeply from a tailpipe. But then there's other days where I don't even think about it. It's being able to help others, being able to help them live their best life. As my original endocrinologist, my late endocrinologist said to me, you control it and live your best life. I want to be able to help other people control their diabetes so they can as well live their best life. Life is hard. Every day that we get up, we face challenges, but also every day that we get up is another opportunity to do better. It's another opportunity for us to put our best foot forward. And if we have a bad moment, let's realize that it's just a bad moment and not make it a bad day. Be able to smile, even in the face of adversity.
Yeah.
Being able to, I like to be able to lift other people up. Let them be the best that they can be. Give them that space, give them the opportunity, and help to guide them. Unfortunately, with myself, there was a lot of misinformation that was put forth with diabetes, and I want to be able to change that. I want to be able to help others. I was recently at a conference in San Diego. It was all, for type 1 diabetes, and in a room with 500 to 600 other people who have type 1 diabetes. Number one, hearing all the insulin pump and the CGM alarms is interesting. But realizing that as some people say, my obsessive compulsive with controlling my diabetes is not, that it's actually normal, that taking the best care of me means that I can take care of others around me, that I can continue to help, that I can continue to push forward. And, and not just by helping others, but also living the lifestyle, which also shows an example. And then when people see that it's working, they're like, oh, wait, that's working for her. Maybe I need to look into that. My brother, he's definitely interested. When I first told him that I do just meat, he was like, just meat? What do you mean? And now he looks at me going, wow, maybe there's something to this. And I have friends doing that too. So it's just, I want to be able to help others, help them to be the best that they can be. That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's service. We're here to service our brothers and
Yes, we
sisters.
are.
But you got to make sure you take care of you first so you can
Yes.
do the very best for everyone. Christopher Ovard, what tests show a difference between type 1 and type 2?
What was that question again?
Christopher Ovard on KMT asks, what test shows the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetics?
That one I would defer over to Dr. Nelson.
So I think once you're diagnosed with diabetes,
which is diabetes means high blood sugar.
high blood sugars, you want to know what your fasting insulin is. You want to know what your C-peptide is. Why is that? I think you alluded a little bit earlier, because the C-peptide, the insulin is a hormone that is not the completely active yet, proinsulin. It gets split into two portions, the active form and the remnant is the C-peptide. See, the injectable insulins do not have C-peptide. C-peptide is present because your pancreas produces that molecule. So that helps us determine whether your pancreas is producing C-peptide or not. There is additionally 4 different types of antibodies that are checked. If your C-peptide is low and you have antibodies, you have type 1 diabetes. You can acquire, type 2 diabetics could acquire antibodies later in life and sort of develop a type 1, or some people call it a type 1.5 diabetes, late autoimmune diabetes of adults. It's another condition where antibodies are present. But this is a very good question, but if you've been diagnosed with diabetes, ideally your doctor is going to help you navigate through that. But yes, once you're diagnosed with diabetes, if you didn't end up with a ketoacidosis in the hospital, it's more than likely that you're type 2. But you don't want to guess. You test. So
and liver damage is often a cause of diabetes, where you have plenty of insulin, you have plenty of sugar, but your liver can't convert the sugars to fat. Hepatitis diabetes, which isn't talked about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jay Bud would like to know, do you have any social media?
I am working on that, but I do have, sometimes it's fun. I do have a Facebook page, The Ketogenic Diabetic. I'm working, trying to get the Instagram up. I keep hitting roadblocks, and my YouTube will be coming up shortly.
Another
I
comment.
I do have a website, theketogenicdiabetic.com too.
Lots of information there. So we'll put that up there. Leticia King is asking about type 3 diabetes, type 4 diabetes, type 5 diabetes. I mean, essentially hyperglycemia due to a standard recommended doctor advice is 3 to 6 plant-based low-fat meals a day, which is likely the cause of all disease. And hyperglycemia is for most of us damaging chronically, more likely acutely in some. And for sure, we should be, we gotta, that's what we're all here to do. The standard medical system, I think, is missing the mark because it's all about money. I was just seeing that several large healthcare companies, hospitals are dropping insurance companies because the insurance companies are making a lot of money, but they're not investing in the healthcare that we all really need. And I can tell you from my medical company, they often pay us pennies on the dollar, and we cannot continue to provide the care at that. And so that's one of the reasons why I've gone to a non-standard approach to empower, like you, Jennifer, Alia, Dr. Nelson. Let's empower our brothers and sisters to control their healthcare. So you should be able to, you can go to drkiltz.com, you can order your own labs, and you can ask for anything, and we will help you get all of that. That's important.
Cool. Let's do the giveaway, and then there's one more question. I just didn't want to get it on the screen here.
You just hit the giveaway while we're asking a question.
Okay, here's the button. Clicking it. Sue Middleton says, Hubs Reverse, 30-year type 2 diabetic. A1C 5.1. However, he only slightly increased fat. Are there side effects besides low energy? There we go. Only slight. I guess the question is about the fat. Should he? Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons in life for lack of energy. I think the most important thing is mindset.
Mhm.
Again, it's like, you know what I do when I have no energy?
Take a nap.
Take a nap.
Mhm.
No other animal is drinking coffee all day, energy drinks all day, and trying to get more energy from a drug. They take a nap. They reset the synapse. That's what I do every day, and I mean that's critical and important. And fatty meat, leaner meat, middle of fatty meat. We're now focused on protein, which is incorrect.
Right.
Incorrect. Focus on beautiful. To me, it's rare to raw fatty meat. I feel the very best.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I want to say congratulations, Angela. You might know my email address by now, but it's alia@drkiltz.com. Email me and you'll get your book. There you go.
And we're all on the journey, and we're all meant to be different sizes, shape, age, weights, genders, politics, religions. That's natural and normal. Let's practice loving our brothers and sisters, period.
Right.
Forgiveness, period. And again, whatever diet you're on, and if you're having some challenges or you're suspecting something, it's really important to look at keto, carnivore, faith, and fasting.
Mhm.
I think that covers all human beings.
Yeah.
I put a link. It says Dr. Kills, by the way, but I put a link to a booklet on therapeutic carbohydrate restriction for type 1 diabetes. It's a guide. Check it out. It is put out by the Institute for Personalized Therapeutic Nutrition, therapeutic carbohydrate restriction in type 1 diabetes.
And we're building our non-for-profit organization so we can be of service to our brothers and sisters around the globe. That is critical. And the more we're able to help create everyone's invited and everyone is accepted to the Kiltz Health University for all of our health and wellness around the globe. And the more we do this for everyone, rather than say, well, you just couldn't get into medical school, or or whatever it is. And again, it is a changing world, and we're part of the change. Let's be leaders in that change.
Great. Awesome.
We did good today. And
Yeah.
I'm working at home today. I have an interview. Today is Wednesday. I think, with
Ken Berry.
Ken Berry today. That's offline for Carnivore Conversations. I'm a guest on SBG tonight at 7 p.m. So let's make sure everyone becomes a member of SBG. I'm a member. Again, we're all part of a membership. Again, you're investing in your healthcare. That's what this is about. You're investing in your healthcare. And think about how much money you spend on pizza, pasta, bread, and coffee, tea, whiskey, wine, and beer. Let's invest in the real journey, which is keto carnivore, faith and fasting.
That's right. All right. Well,
Yes.
there we go.
All right.
There we go.
All right.
Been a pleasure, everybody.
And
Thank
Dr.
you.
Nelson, what do you have next? What do you have coming up this week?
So
What do
today, the coaching class is meeting. We have a visiting instructor. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we have another live stream. And tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., we have another live stream.
Awesome. Yeah. And tomorrow we have Kat Herman. And then on Friday we have Thomas, Target Prime Rib. We're going to celebrate his birthday
All
on the
right.
morning show. Everyone's
Okay.
birthdays are this week.
And what's following now? What's just going live?
Oh, Mitch, go to Mitch. Everybody
Mitch,
go
go
on
now.
over to Mitch.
And we're working on the link for the 24/7 365 lives, and and we're going to continue this communication conversation around the globe in every language. So that's
Love
our
it.
mission, to bring everyone together for health and wellness. Again, keto, carnivore, faith, fasting, and fitness for everybody. You don't have to be a carnivore, but you are.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.